Now, a campaign to rename Sandton Drive to Leila Khaled has been criticized. Leila Khaled is a Palestinian refugee and member of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. The ANC in the City of Johannesburg has been lobbying for the name change. Joining us is political analyst Kenneth Mokgatlhe, who's among those against the renaming of Sandton Drive to Leila Khaled. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Tell us why you're against this name change.
Good evening, Masa, and to the audience at home. Firstly, thanks for having me. My disagreement with the name changing or the renaming of Sandton Drive is for plethora of reasons. Firstly, it's cultural. As we are celebrating Heritage Month, remembering our local and national heroes, remembering also our culture, trying to go back to our roots where we are coming from. We should do so in a way that seeks to reflect on the past that resonate with us. So we should rename our monuments and landmarks by our heroes or after our heroes or after incidents or history that resonates directly with us, which talks to us as South Africans. So when you look at the character of Leila Khaled, it does not speak to the people or the residents of Johannesburg. It does not speak to the people of South Africa. And the second reason is that City of Johannesburg is facing a multitude or plethora of crises, from crisis to another crisis. Recently, there was a water shortage, and that problem has not been resolved. We know about the skyrocketing levels of unemployment amongst the young people. We know that the traffic lights are not operating, and there's less that the city is doing about it. And those are some of the problems that the city should be focusing its time on. There are a lot of heroes which in South Africa are deserving or well deserved to be accorded that respect of being of their name being used to rename or to name such monuments. And the City of Johannesburg have got the policy in place which says that the monuments or the landmarks should be named after exceptional figures. Exceptional figures who have contributed to the advancement and the development of the city or the country. So when you look at Leila Khaled, she did not contribute directly or indirectly to the advancement or to the development of Johannesburg. There is no relevance or resonance to the people or the residents of Johannesburg. We have got our own heroes who we are neglecting ourselves, and who are we expecting from around the world to honor such heroes such as Brahima Sikela, Jonas Gwangwa, Asim Zwelenjo Musono, and many others, when we are neglecting them and we are celebrating figures who have got no history or no relevance to us.
I think many will agree that we are not at a shortage of heroes that we could commemorate as well in this manner. But also, South Africa has taken quite a clear stance when it comes to the Middle East. When we think about our position when it comes to Israel and Palestine, calling for a ceasefire, but also taking that case to the ICJ in defense of the Palestinian people. So there's clearly also a tie between South Africa and Palestine when it comes to having a relation or some sort of a connection of oppression.
It is a matter that we have seen because it's a political hot potato. It has divided nations, not only South Africa, but you also go and you look at the European countries themselves. You have seen also what had happened in the USA, in the campuses, in universities, where the government had taken a stance, but the students, the people on the ground, did not approve. Not everyone, but there were group of students who were against the stance of government. So when you come to South Africa, the government which was led by the ANC before the elections, which paved the way for government of national unity. It had taken Israel into ICJ. But it does not mean that everyone in South Africa or every political party in South Africa support the motion. So there are people who are disagreeing with the stance of South Africa taking Israel to ICJ. There are political parties, there are other important opinion makers who are disagreeing with the decision that was taken by South Africa. And in my piece, I'm trying to showcase that we should not get too involved by trying to import the conflict in the Middle East to South Africa, because we have got our own issues that we should be attending to, because such can promote fragmentation, because we know that Johannesburg is cosmopolitan area which consists of diverse populations, and it could cause divisions, which could bring, of course, instability in the city. And that is not what we want in South Africa. We want stability to prevail. When you call for, or you protest, or you want to display your unhappiness, there are ways to do that, but we should not be importing conflicts that are happening outside the country and bringing them here to show that we support one group and not the other group. What is happening in the Middle East needs South Africa to take a radical step that they have done in 1994 by trying to forge a reconciliation path between the Palestinian people and the Israelis. We are seeing that the ICJ path is not bringing material changes or material development in the Middle East. We are seeing the escalation of the conflict day by day. So it means that it did not resolve anything.
Yeah, one might also say, you know, considering South Africa's history and that we live in a global village, South Africa was also assisted by countries who did pull up their socks as well to say we will get involved in what's going on in apartheid South Africa to bring that to an end, where sanctions were also put against our country as well. Various efforts were made, and this is how the international community rallied for South Africa during our dark period too. Do you not see this possible renaming as a similar stance here, where South Africa is being a part of a global village, a part of the international community, and paying honor to a space that they feel that they should?
Maybe our government or the foreign, those who are at the helm of the foreign policy in South Africa should do some assessment to see as to what are their action bringing on the table from the time they have taken such stance. Because we know that during Thabo Mbeki's 2 terms, he have been trying to bring the two warring parties together to have a dialogue. We know that the last time they met was in Cape Town with Rolf Meyer in the presiding over such discussion. And it did not happen because they could not agree on some terms, and it was made worse by President Donald Trump. So what South Africa should be doing is that it should be continuing from where President Thabo Mbeki had left off, trying to forge a dialogue between the two people, because you can't, with the gun, you can't try and bring people together. This is the most complex conflict of our time. It's even more complex than what is happening in the DRC, because it encompasses some historical, political, and many other factors. So it is not going to be resolved overnight. So it needs such dialogue to prevail between two people, and they should reach a compromise with the guns that are taking place, or everyone is holding the guns, we are not going to see peace prevailing in the Middle East. So South Africa is a strategic place, especially in Africa, owing to its economic muscles. So it has got some level of influence to try and bring those two people together and resolve these issues. We know that South Africa is close to Hamas. We know that South Africa can also be close to Israel and bring about a ceasefire and try and convince Hamas to release the hostages. And we could see some ceasefire happening. But South Africa is not doing that. It has taken a stance that it supports the Palestinian cause only against Israel. And we are not going to see any material. That is where we are today, because South Africa has not used its influence fully enough to try and stop the guns that are happening in the Middle East.
Outside of the political reasons, in your opinion piece as well, you make mention about the other factors. You touched on this earlier in this interview as well, about this name change and why you have reservations about it. And you make mention that we already have Lillian Ngoyi Street, formerly known as Bree Street, and which is incomplete and continues to disrupt the lives of motorists and city dwellers there. So name changes don't necessarily affect the practical needs that people need on the ground, beside the political reservations that you have too.
Of course, so there have been a lot of name changes. Others obviously were very important to take place owing to our history, because we needed to heal, or we need to heal as a nation. But when you look at the name Sandton Drive, there's Sandton. Sandton is part of Johannesburg. It has got nothing to do with apartheid, and we are not healing anything. But there were names such as DF Malan and other names which remind South Africans of the brutality of apartheid, which was declared as a crime against humanity, which needed to be changed. So name changes alone, or the renaming of monuments or other important landmarks, does not only that like they affect does not only, or will not only affect the city of Johannesburg pockets. So it will also affect a lot of businesses, because firstly they need to change their signage. So it means that they will have to change their names, the addresses, not the names, the addresses, and they will have to go into their website, and those who are owning properties will have to get the new title deeds, which reflects the new names. So it will affect a lot of people in different ways, like it has always affected a lot of people who have experienced it before. So there are other pressing issues which the city of Johannesburg should be focused on. We know about the Lillian Ngoyi Street, the Bree Street, which we know what happened a few months back. And we know that it is not going to be completed this year. They are talking about some extra 12 months. And it is affecting many motorists in the city of Johannesburg and many city dwellers. And it seems like the city of Johannesburg does not take this as an urgent pressing matter. They need to attend to that. They need to make sure that the city is conducive for the people, the residents in the city of Johannesburg, to live in, and stop the obsession with the name changes.
Kenneth, thank you so much for your insights this evening. Really appreciate your time.